Made American Made, the top 5 American classics countdown. Number 5, Made in Michigan. Invented centuries ago, grandfather clocks run on gravity. When you wind the clock, weights inside are drawn upwards. Gravity then pulls the weights down gradually, unwinding the cables and turning the hands of the clock. This piece of American nostalgia is known as a long case clock. The nickname grandfather clock came from a popular song from the 1800s. This long-established company makes its clock cases out of quality hardwoods such as maple and oak. To construct frames for the 4 sides and door, workers fit dowels into holes, then secure the connecting parts with screws and glue. They lay each frame in this curing machine that uses high-frequency radio waves to generate heat, drying the glue in seconds. Workers connect the 4 frames with screws and glue. The next step is to assemble a base, again with dowels, glue, and screws. Once the glue is dry, the assembled frame goes into the base. Now for some embellishment. Computer-guided routers carve elegant wood moldings. That gives this particular model a traditional feel. The moldings are attached with a combination of glue and nails. These long pieces of wood become curved, fluted moldings. They adorn the side of the door frame. This model also features a pair of stately columns above and below the flutes. A worker first positions them with glue, then screws them securely to the frame from behind. The next step is to stain the wood, hand rubbing it to bring out the grain. After installing the glass and door, it's time to install the clock's components, starting with long metal bars called chime rods. Each chime rod produces a certain note when struck. Next comes what's called the movement. It contains timekeeping components that trigger the chime hammers to hit the chime rods on the hour, half hour, or quarter hour. These brass pulleys hang from cables connected to the movement. The pulleys will support the clock's 3 weights. After connecting the movement to the clock dial, a worker inserts a decorative detail, a wood panel to frame the dial. Then she installs the clock's second hand on a shaft in the center of a miniature dial. On the main dial, she attaches the hour and minute hands. A decorative nut secures them. Finally, workers install the all-important weights and pendulum. All you have to do to keep this clock ticking is wind him up about once a week. Number 4, made in Pennsylvania. Making miniature train cars is all about the details. Every feature is scaled down to a fraction of the real thing, and nothing is too small to replicate. The miniature train car is more than just a toy. It's an all-American classic. On a miniature train track, the past comes full circle with replicas of trains from days gone by. Craftsmen start with historical photos and drawings of actual train cars and scale them down to 1/48th of the size. They feed polystyrene pellets like these to an injection molding machine. This melts the pellets into a thick paste. The 4 sections of a mold close and nozzles pump in the plastic. It oozes into all the grooves and hardens almost instantly into the shape of a train car. More molds are used to replicate door rails, brake wheels, and other accessories. The assembler clips the parts off the framework and files down the rough sections. Using a hobby knife, she trims excess plastic from the train car step. She then glues a steel weight to the bottom of the train car. Finally, she attaches air brake tanks to the underframe of the car. And it's time to spray paint the model train car, Vivid Orange. It's a color that would have been used on an actual boxcar combined with white. For that two-tone look, the model is held in a paint shield to protect the orange sections as they spray on the white. Workers leave the car to dry overnight. Other train cars receive a less flashy paint job. This car is basic black, and it's the perfect canvas for white lettering. Metal wheels now roll off a revolving conveyor. They funnel into mechanisms that press fit them onto each end of metal axles. The wheel and axle assemblies drop into a bin below. Two sets of wheels are now installed on a plastic framework. The framework is then attached to a coupler, the device that links train cars. The wheels and the coupler assembly are screwed onto one end of the car. Then the process is repeated on the other end. The couplers are snapped together to connect two train cars. In the world of train models, a little grime is just fine. They make it look dusty on purpose by misting the model with paint. The model train cars have now rolled off the assembly line, and they're ready to hit the tracks for an American trip down memory lane.
This summer, people are experiencing all the excitement Chevy has to offer.
Oh boy, I'm looking straight up. Holy smokes. I can't tell I'm towing anything.
Go for thrilling drives and deals at the Chevy Summer Drive.
I want to go to a Chevy dealership right when I get home.
It's the Chevy Summer Drive. Qualified lessees can get this Chevy Cruze for around $179 a month. Or get $2,500 total cash allowance on this Chevy Cruze. See your Mid-South Chevy dealers.
Nice.
Maytag appreciates a compliment, but this Maytag washer isn't just eye candy.
Wow.
Inside, it's got the capacity and power to handle even the mightiest loads.
I love this.
Yeah, she's a beaut.
It's a he.
How do you know?
Don't worry about it.
Maytag, what's inside matters.
Something powerful lurks behind still waters. Something hungry. Charles just ordered a shark bite at Joe's. Feed the frenzy this summer at Joe's Crab Shack. Dive into our shark bite cocktail, then devour our great balls of fire for just $5. While you're here, create your own steam pot. Start with snow crab, corn, and potatoes, then add shrimp, lobster, clams, whatever you can get your jaws on. Feed the frenzy, only at Joe's.
I don't drink out of a best dad in the world mug. Sometimes I forget to cut the crust off the sandwich. Most days, I just hope I'm getting some of it right.
You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. The engine light is on. I'll have it fixed in a minute, girls.
It's the oxygen sensor, Joe.
The oxygen sensor.
I just got an alert.
You're okay for now. Just try to get it checked out soon.
With vehicle diagnostics, a mechanic's hotline, and more,
Yep, it's that oxygen sensor.
Hum by Verizon is the smarter way to get where you're going.
If I had my tools, I figure I can fix it.
Check it out at hum.com.
Post-game celebration with my girls. What? Well, pre-collision system works. Toyota Safety Sense Standard in my Corolla.
Stunning doesn't have to be stunningly expensive. This redo, totally doable for less than you think. Discover vanities starting at just $169, only at the Home Depot.
Number 3, made in Minnesota. Barber poles go back to a time when barbers also performed surgery, tooth extractions, and bloodletting. Some believe that the idea for the red and white strips came about because of bloody and clean bandages that twisted together in the wind as the customer held onto a pole during a procedure. Over time, barber poles have come to lose their gruesome connotation, but not their place as an historic symbol. There's only one company left in North America that makes them. They begin by rolling a printed liner onto a wooden mandrel. The mandrel they use depends on the size of the pole they're making. Using a knife, they score the liner at both ends. Scoring the liner helps guide the worker as he trims the familiar red, white, and blue material to the required length. Next, he rivets the company logo to a support frame. Then, with bolts, he attaches the top and bottom support casting. The frame and castings are made of aluminum, so they're virtually rust-proof. They install the glass cylinder, which can be made out of extruded or hand-blown glass. After a final tightening, they double-check that everything fits snugly. Next, they add water to a special caulking powder and mix it to a smooth consistency. The caulking must be just the right thickness to properly fill the cavity between the aluminum casting and the glass cylinder. Five minutes later, when the caulking is dry, they carefully trim off the excess on both ends of the cylinder, leaving behind a smooth, watertight seal that helps secure the glass cylinder in place. Cleaning the glass by hand is just another example of all the artisanal handiwork that goes into making these time-honored barber poles. After that, a worker puts in a motor mechanism. The motor will rotate the printed liner inside the glass cylinder. Once the motor is hooked up, he takes an inner cylinder, which has the printed liner mounted on it, and installs it on top of the mechanism that makes it rotate. He then installs a 2-socket light fixture with a bulb that illuminates the liner. To keep the printed liner straight as it turns, he then attaches what's called a top cylinder bushing. All that's left to complete the pole is to attach a rust-proof aluminum cover and the second light bulb that lights up the white glass globe. Modern barber poles come in various sizes and styles, with or without illuminating globes, but they always keep their link to the past.
Engine light is on. I'll have it fixed in a minute, girls.
oxygen sensor, Joe.
Oxygen sensor.
I just got an alert.
You're okay for now. Just try to get it checked out soon.
With vehicle diagnostics, a mechanic's hotline, and more,
Yep, it's that oxygen sensor.
Hum by Verizon is the smarter way to get where you're going.
If I had my tools, I figure I can fix it.
Check it out at hum.com.
Wow, good to know we have that on our Prius. And lane departure alert.
The 2017 Prius with Toyota Safety Sense Standard. Toyota, let's go places.
Excuse me, are you aware of what's happening right now? We're facing 20 billion security events every day.
We just handled all the priority threats.
You did that?
We can identify threats 50% faster.
You can do that?
We can do that.
Then do that.
Who is the Suave Man? The Suave Man has curly hair, straight hair, long hair, short hair. The Suave Man is every man, and every man's hair needs are different from a woman's. Men's hair is oilier. There is less of it, and men are 31% more likely to say they have scalp issues. So whether you've got a brush cut, a bowl cut, or a never do that again cut, whether you're a mohawk man, a faux hawk man, or a no-hawk man, if you're a man and you have hair, use Suave for men. Shampoo and styling for every man.
Stunning doesn't have to be stunningly expensive. This redo, totally doable for less than you think. Discover vanities starting at just $169, only at the Home Depot.
Their experience is coveted. Their leadership is instinctive. They're experts in things you haven't heard of. Researchers of technologies that one day you will. Some call them the best of the best. Some call them veterans. We call them our team.
Michigan. The jukebox actually started out as a memo recording device for executives. That phonograph recorder was invented by Thomas Edison back in the 19th century. It evolved into a coin-operated music machine. Because music is a lot more fun to dance to than the boss's orders, take a memo. Put a coin in the slot, and people will dance to your tune. Records replaced the phonographic cylinder early in the 20th century. In the 1980s, compact discs came along, putting a different spin on the jukebox. With those smaller discs, manufacturers could pack a lot more music into a machine. Now, compact disc technology is becoming outdated, and the latest jukeboxes contain computers that download songs from the internet. To make a modern jukebox, they start with the door. They sandwich a red panel with swirled designs on it between layers of plastic. The assembler aligns them, then screws them together. He snaps the jukebox name into a snazzy piece of plastic, then fits it in one of the cutouts in the front of the door. Next, he installs aluminum framework around the door. He supports it at the corners with metal brackets. He screws a little metal wheel on the latch so the door will open and close smoothly. He mounts the touchscreen in the big cutout on the door. He strings wiring for lighting around the perimeter of the door and fastens 2 long panels equipped with LED lights to the back. He runs plastic trim along the perimeter of the door and screws a long metal hinge to one side of it. This jukebox door is now complete, and the rest is an inside job. The assembler installs an exhaust fan in the jukebox cabinet. He screws an audio amplifier to the back wall. The wireless router that allows the jukebox to connect to the internet goes in next. He mounts the power supply system to the side wall of the cabinet. He tucks the computer into a lower corner of the box. The power transformer for the amplifier goes on the back wall. He installs an audio control system just below the transformer. He connects the amplifier to the audio control system, and then he wires the computer to the router. He hooks up a communication system that passes information between all the devices in the jukebox. And he installs a transformer for the speaker system. Now the jukebox is ready for the showpiece, that light-studded door with the touchscreen. He screws the door's long hinge to the cabinet. He inspects his installation job and determines no adjustments are needed. So he fastens the bill box to the back of the door and installs the computer hard drive in the cabinet. At the jukebox factory, when the job is done, it really is party time.
They said it was impossible to have great-tasting light beer. Boom. Award-winning Heineken Light brewed with Cascade hops. They also said it was impossible to hypnotize you. You are getting sleepy. Watch the beer.
Does it make sense that a German car company would break ground in Spartanburg, South Carolina?
Or that they build over 400,000 sports activity vehicles a year?
And customize them millions of different ways.
Does it make sense that BMW's largest factory in the world
is in this small town in the South? It makes perfect sense.
The BMW X4, X5, X6, and the all-new X3, engineered in Germany, built in America. Take advantage of exceptional lease and finance offers today.
Stunning doesn't have to be stunningly expensive. This redo, totally doable for less than you think. Discover vanities starting at just $169, only at the Home Depot.
Hello? This summer, get $300 off the Samsung Galaxy S8 at Best Buy.
Do you guys fly to Mexico, the Caribbean, and Central America?
Even to Cuba?
I can fly to Turks and Caicos and Costa Rica out of Fort Lauderdale.
See, to low fares to faraway places. That's transparency.
Care can be messy. That's why Whirlpool gives you customized care for any mess.
She just got all over me.
Simply select what to wash and how to wash it.
Don't poop, don't poop.
To get the perfect cycle
Oh, man.
for the perfect clean. Every day, care. Whirlpool.
For more go and less stop. You don't want just any protein snack. You want Oikos Triple Zero Greek non-fat yogurt, packed with more of what you want, like 15 grams of protein per cup, and less of what you don't, like added sugar and fat. It's a better fuel that helps you be unstoppably you.
in Kentucky. The bowling ball has undergone a lot of changes over several centuries to become such a striking success. From a crude stone to carved wood to rubber to molded polyester, it's been reinvented numerous times. But the latest version has turned out to be a real winner. Technological advances have reshaped the bowling ball at its very core. No longer round, the nucleus is asymmetrical, which causes the ball to curve towards the pins as it rolls down the lane. They make the cores from polyester resin, blending in minerals like barytes, silica powder, and limestone. The result looks like chocolate milk, or make that hot chocolate, because a catalyst triggers a chemical reaction that heats it up. As they pipe it into the molds, it quickly starts to cure and solidify. In just 2 minutes, it's ready to extract. This core is oblong, flat on one side with a knob. They now drill toward the center of the core to make a pinhole. This allows the core to be suspended in just the right position in a second mold. This asymmetrical core is about to be encased in a more uniform sphere. They tamp the core into the bottom part of the mold and then lock down the top half. After all, they don't want any leaks as they pump it full of plastic. It's a liquid polymer blend. A special chemical in it causes the mix to solidify slowly. It can take days for it to harden around the core. When they knock it out of the mold, all is revealed. That asymmetrical core is now sealed in a very symmetrical polymer shell. Next, it's into a third mold. This one will seal the bowling ball in an outer skin called the veneer. This veneer has been scientifically formulated to enhance the ball's traction as it hooks towards the bowling pins. It's made of colorant, plasticizer, a chemical called ISO, and urethane. Blending these ingredients produces high-performance polyurethane. As the mix flows into the molds, a chemical reaction causes it to heat up and solidify in just seconds. Then it's into an oven to boost the chemical reaction. Next, a spinning grinder shaves off the bump, which was formed by overflow at the mold's intake tube. The removal of this bump rounds off the shape of the bowling ball. With its 3 layers, this bowling ball looks a bit like a big bonbon when it's sliced in 2. A lift system delivers the bowling ball to a sanding operation, which roughs up the surface. This machine heat stamps trademark information onto the ball. One last sanding as a constant flow of water removes the powdery residue. The more polished the surface, the less pronounced the ball's hooking action will be. Even this last sanding is geared to a certain performance standard. Once they buff the surface, all that's left is to custom drill the finger holes. With this bowling ball in hand, success should be within striking distance.
You each drive a Ford pickup.